So let's look at some more factoring our trinomials with a coefficient out in front of the variable. That should be a t squared. I do not know why that's the third. Let's go ahead and fix that in your notes. So first and last term, we have a negative 30 when we multiply, and a add to a positive 7. So negative 30, got to be a positive and a negative, and we have to have them 7 apart. Well, 30 is 3 times 10, and those are 7 apart. So if I want a positive 7, the 10 is positive, the 3 is negative. So that's 6t squared plus 10t minus 3t minus 5. First two terms, I can take out a 2t. I'm left with 3t plus 5. Last two terms, I want it to look like this, so I'm going to take a negative 1 out to be there. So now 3t plus 5 is both. I'm left with 2t minus 1. (4w squared minus 5w minus 6), we get a negative 24 is what we want to multiply to. We want to add to negative 5. We want them 5 apart. So 24, I think of 8 and 3 come to mind. One's got to be positive, one's negative. So we're going to make 8 negative, 3 positive. So we go 4w squared minus 8w plus 3w minus 6. Split that. We could take out a 4w from our first two terms. Leaves me with w minus 2. We could take out a 3 from our other two terms. Leaves us with a w minus 2. W minus 2 comes out. 4w plus 3 is left over as our answer. 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. We multiply. We want to multiply to get to negative 14. We want to add to negative 13. Well, 14 and 13, those are awful close. What if we looked at 1 and 14? If I want them to be negative, one of these has to be negative, 1 or 14. Looks like negative 14 with positive 1 gets us to that negative 13. So 2x squared plus 1 minus 14x minus 7. We're going to take out a x. We're left with 2x plus 1. We're going to take out a negative 7. We're left with 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1 is in both. X minus 7 is left. And there's our two factors. Now we look at a word problem. So we're thinking of volume. Volume of a rectangular prism we are given is 66x to the third plus 57x squared plus 12x. And we want to find possible dimensions. Let's think of factoring first, because the volume of a rectangular prism is we're going to multiply the 3 dimensions. We have this front length, we have this depth, and this height. So if we could find the 3 ways to multiply, we could work through it. Now before I get to factoring this trinomial like we've been doing so far, I notice they all have something in common. I can actually probably take out a 3 from all of these numbers, and they all have an x in them as well. So let's take out a 3x. That leaves me with here 22x squared. 57 divided by 3 is 19, so that's a 19x, and then plus 4. So now we've taken out that 3x, and we have some nicer numbers. It's going to be a lot easier to think of our multiplies, ways to get to this, and then multiplying 66 times 12. So 3x is going to be an answer we stick with. Now I need to factor this, kind of like we've been doing already. 22 and 4 is 88. Multiply to get 88. Well, we also wanted to add to be 19. 88, though, is 8 times 11, which is 19 when we add them together. So we're going to go 22x squared plus 8x plus 11x plus 4. Factoring let's go 2x out, I get 11x plus 4. We don't really factor anything out, we'll put a 1 there, 11x plus 4. This becomes 11x plus 4, and 2x plus 1. Bring down the 3x, and these are possible factors. So if I went in and drew this rectangular prism, I could say, oh, the height's 3x, 11x plus 4 is this depth, and 2x plus 1 is the length across. and those are our values. The factors are your possible dimensions. Okay, a couple more with factoring out common terms. It's nice, it's going to make the number smaller whenever you can do that. So here I can factor out a let's factor out a 3. So I'm left with 2x squared plus 19x plus 24. We're going to multiply 2 and 24 is 48, and we need to add to 19. Well, let's see, 48 is 2 and 24, it's 3 and 16, it's 4 and 12, 6 and 8. Anything we see here that adds to 19, that's looking good. So let's make this into 2x squared plus 3x plus 16x plus 24. Factoring out an x, I get 2x plus 3. Factoring out an 8, I get 2x plus 3. So we get x plus 8, 2x plus 3, and don't forget the 3 from the very beginning, we get to our answer. Now, what if we didn't factor out that number from the beginning? I'm going to show you in the last example, if you did not take a common factor out, how you can still take it out at the end. So 20x squared minus 45x plus 10. We're going to multiply. It's going to be 20 and 10 is 200, and we want them to add to be negative 45. So it means they're both going to be negative numbers. But 20 is 20 times 10. It is 40 times 5, which gets me, if they're both negative, a 45. So let's use that. We're going to go 20x squared minus 40x minus 5x plus 10. I can take out a 20x, leaves me with x minus 2. I can take out a negative 5, leaves me with x minus 2. So my answer is 20x minus 5 and x minus 2. Now I said I needed to look at a factor, because up here these all have a 5 in common. I could have factored that out, but I didn't. That's where this very last answer comes into play. 20x minus 5 does have a common factor. You need to factor it out. So I could divide out a 5. It leaves me with 4x minus 1 along with the x minus 2, and I have my answer. This is different than this. This one is factored out completely. You need to follow all those steps to finish the problem. Okay, our last one. If you want to pause it and try it yourself, that'd be a good plan. What can I factor out? Let's try 2 and see where that gets us. So 2 comes out, I got 18x squared plus 57x minus 10. This gives us that multiplies to negative 180, and it adds to 57. Let's see, 180, we could do 2 and 90, maybe 3 and 60, 4 and 45, we could keep going, but wait a minute, if it has to multiply to be negative 180, one of these has to be positive, one's negative, so I want them to be 57 apart. This looks kind of good, because if we made the 3 negative and the 60 positive, it would add to 57. Let's go with that. So we're going to go 18x squared minus 3x plus 60x minus 10. I can factor out a 3x from the front. I got 6x minus 1. I can factor out a 10 from the second one. I get 6x minus 1. 6x minus 1's match. Leftovers 3x plus 10. We bring down the 2 from the very beginning, don't forget the 2, and our factored answer is 2 times 6x minus 1 times 3x plus 10.